Evening, everyone, and welcome to Cherries Red Army YouTube channel. It's a brand new week and it's a brand new match preview. Tomorrow night, AFC Bournemouth take on Swansea in the Championship back at home, and I've got two guests to help me take a look at this game in more detail. If you're not a subscriber yet to the channel, please do subscribe for more AFC Bournemouth content. Also, give us a like as well. Thank you to those who are joining us currently live right now. You can interact throughout the show and let us know what you think, and we'll drop as many chats as we can throughout the next 30 or so minutes. Okay, let's get my first guest on, AFC Bournemouth fan, a regular back of the net free-for-all as well. Please welcome James. How you doing, James?
Hi, how are you? You're all right?
Yeah, and we'll get into the football in a bit, but how's your week started after the weekend?
The week's been good. Because I haven't dealt with anything football until this evening, so it's been enjoyable. I've just got on with my work, got the kids to school. We did a spaghetti bolognese tonight, which contained 6 different types of vegetables, and the kids didn't realise that a single vegetable was in the ingredients. It was marvellous.
Healthy.
And now with healthy choices.
Healthy and a positive start to the week.
Yeah.
We go again. Let's get my second guest on then from Swans Cast podcast. Please welcome Luke for the opposition. How you doing, Luke?
Hi guys, how you all doing?
Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. And just tell us a little bit about what you do for your club, Swansea.
So we're quite new actually. We only started in January, so we just wanted to sort of get out there. We thought there was a bit of a gap in the market for a bit of a discussion, I guess similar to what you do. Sort of look at the pre-match, the post-match, and then try and look at bigger issues and wider things in the podcasts that we do when we get a bit of time, really. Depends on our work life and stuff.
So let's go through the match preview, and we'll start in the previous games for both teams. James, wasn't a great day out in the office at home on Saturday. Now, there were some changes in the week for Woodgate. He had a fresh week to work with the players for the first time. What didn't change on the pitch, though, is we still can't defend set pieces and we can't put teams away when we're on top.
No, it's difficult. It's difficult because I think on reflection in the second half, if we'd have got that third, I think we'd have gone on. And I still feel that this team has the ability to really turn over an opposition at some point this season if they can just put 90 minutes together. And the inconsistency, I think, is the most frustrating thing, alongside, like you say, the inability to really defend at set pieces. It's a real worry at the moment.
Is it a concern that Jack Wilshere didn't get off the bench on Saturday?
You'd have to ask the coaching team. I don't understand why one of our most talented players isn't seeing more time on the pitch. I don't know whether there's potentially, I mean, he's on a short-term contract, isn't he? I don't know what's in the contract. I don't know what's going on, but it's very frustrating because he's obviously the sort of player that I think we're crying out for, just to sort of sit in that hole really and sort of create some opportunities to put an extra man in midfield and give us a little bit more time on the ball and, you know, play a little bit more methodically. Both of our goals sort of came away from sort of real good counter-attacking football, which Bournemouth has done so well over the last few seasons, really. But at points in games, we need a bit more control in that midfield, and Wilshere is the piece of that puzzle. I don't know why he's not seeing more pitch time.
A lot of people say it's because we're not there and we've been the 12th man so many times for the team. Is that too much of an easy cop-out to just say that we're not there to help the team get over the line?
What, in terms of the fans?
Yeah.
It's a level playing field for everyone, though, isn't it? Like, because no one's playing with fans. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's like this home field advantage. Apart from the inconvenience of travel, there's no real advantage to playing home or away, is there? I suppose. But I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think that there's results this season that have happened that wouldn't have happened with fans in stadiums, particularly I think in the league above us. But I think it's a frustrating season all round because of the results from our club, because of the way that our club's playing, but also because you don't have the opportunity to really voice your opinion as you would on a Saturday or a Tuesday night. And I think watching from home just makes it just although it's very accessible, which is really convenient, it's not the same. And it's ultimately, I think we're going to look back on this season with just a feeling of frustration, really.
So that was a 3-2 loss for Bournemouth against Barnsley, and Swansea went to Kenilworth Road and got a 1-0 against Luton. Now, before you tell me about that, Luke, can you translate this for me?
Oh, that's one of the other boys, part of the team, trying to be funny. Unfortunately, none of us actually speak fluent Welsh on the Swans Cast team, which I'm ashamed to admit, but that's a bigger question and a bigger discussion, that is.
An early goal then from a player that you signed in January. I think he's got 5 goals in 12 appearances now, Hurahan. Got the 1-0. Didn't sound as easy as it... Well, it sounds like you're hanging on at the end.
So it's kind of what we've been doing since Hurahan signed, I guess. January. Jamal Lowe was kind of on a good run of scoring up till then. So kind of everyone was saying we need a number 9, we need a striker, but he had this good form that he was like, oh, maybe we'll be okay. As soon as the transfer window's done and we didn't get a striker in, or we got Morris and he's got season injury, we can't score all of a sudden. So Hurahan scoring has been a massive sort of something that we really needed has come at a good time, because the forwards did go a bit quiet. But Hurahan, he's been really good signing in my view, but he's actually quite divisive with the fan base, because as much as he offers the goal scoring threat, a good sort of left peg in terms of corner take-ins and free kicks, they think he doesn't do enough work on the pitch in the middle.
I've heard a lot as an outsider, Luke, that you've had a lot of luck in the last few weeks. Is that a fair comment?
Look, I think you've got to be lucky to sort of be challenging for the top 2 of the stage of the season. You've got to have had periods of luck. And we were lucky in a couple of games where we had penalties that we could have, they might not have been given on another day. One of them specifically, I will say, was very, very soft. You could argue the players conned the ref, but the other 2, the ref's seen something, and I think it's not as clear cut to say dive or anything like that. But at the same time, it is lucky. But you've got to put yourselves in that position to get that stroke of luck sometimes. And for example, the Middlesbrough game, so the second half we were 1-0 up, and they were sort of knocking on the door for a long time. They finally get an equalising goal. But then all of a sudden we get up the other end of the pitch, and the wing back is running into the box and gets fouled for the penalty. Whether it's a penalty or not, whatever, but we haven't been up there all match. As soon as we concede an equaliser, we're there. So I think you've got to give credit there a little bit as well.
Let's rewind then to December the 8th, James. We went to the Liberty Stadium on a tough pitch. We were sitting in second at this stage under Jason Tindall, and Swansea was 6th, a 0-0. Your recollection of that game?
My recollection of that game was exactly as you described it. It was an away match that we drew 0-0. That's all I remember from that match. I remember watching it, but it's a completely forgettable match. I remember the pitch was very, very unplayable. It was very difficult. There wasn't a lot of passes being strung together. It was far from total football, which is a shame, because I think both sides have it in them to actually play an attractive game, to actually put an attractive, match on together. But I mean, I think both sides are quite similar, or they certainly were quite similar back then in terms of the way that they play at the beginning of December, the way that we played under Tindall. And I think by that reckoning, we sort of cancelled each other out, really.
It seems a long time ago. I was sitting in second position, James.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and this is what they call winning time in most American sports. This is where the season's won or lost, the form that you take into the next 2 months, and whether you can put a few results together and take that into the playoffs. It's all the cliches at once, isn't it? But it does feel like a long time ago. And I do, like I said, I'm slightly concerned at the direction of the club to a broader picture with Woodgate being on a short-term contract to May. There's no real definitive identity as to what's going forward beyond that. So in terms of what happens this season, who knows? Who knows?
So that 0-0, Luke, it felt like we had the better of the chances if one team was going to win it. There's an argument for some AFC Bournemouth fans that they felt they could have had a penalty on the night through David Brooks. Was you happy with the point?
We were happy with the point after the game. Like you said, the league position of you at the time would play into that. If you look back now, you'd think different, but obviously at the time you were second. So for us, you just come down from the Premier League. We knew you had some quality players still in the team. I think we took a point quite, it was nice for us then, especially with a clean sheet as well, because our defence being so good, especially the first half of the season, it really wasn't a bad result for us. And like you are right, we didn't create an awful lot of chances. And that is kind of a common theme, though, over the season.
I'm trying to remember if you ever had a pitch issue in the Premier League. Is that sort of happened since you've dropped out of the Premier League? Or
so with the pitch, it was diseased. So I'm not sure. We had it relayed not so long ago, I think, and I don't know whether it was while that happened, because I think it was over lockdown, maybe the first lockdown they got it relayed, but there was a disease in there and apparently it killed all the grass, something like that. And they had to get it relayed probably not long after this game, actually.
We'll go into the press conference a little bit later, James, but Woodgate was asked about the pitch and how good it is at Bournemouth, and he said, we've got Premier League money, that's why we can keep the condition of the pitch to a decent standard.
He said it saw more sun. That's the other thing he said. He said it got more sun because we're on the south coast. It's completely different from South Wales, apparently. I love South Wales. I've never had a bad time on South Wales or Port Talbot and all that down there. It's really, really lovely part of the world.
It rains a lot.
It does. It rains a lot, but it's a beautiful part of the world. I think he paid credit to the groundsman as well, which I thought was important. It's important because the football club is more than the manager and the players. It's everyone, isn't it? It's the whole team.
So you made a late dash for the playoffs last season, didn't quite get up then, Luke. This season, currently sitting third, 69 points, only on goal difference, 20 wins, 18 clean sheets. That's some record you've got there.
It's been amazing. Obviously, you were right about last season. We snuck in. No one really expected it. But the change of formation and sort of change of plan, I guess, after lockdown, kind of, I think Cooper said it was kind of slightly enforced in terms of us going to a 5 at the back system, but I haven't really looked back since. We went on a fantastic run. The final day was dramatic. Obviously, we needed 6-goal swing or something, and Stoke did us a couple of favours there. But we just pushed on, really, and I didn't really expect us to challenge for the top 2. I think aiming for the playoffs again, I think most people would have been comfortable in the fan base, getting into it comfortably rather than sneaking in on the last day. I think that was what we were expecting. But it's definitely been a positive season.
I've been critical of us not scoring enough goals, James. We scored 52. We're the 4th best scoring team. But did we use too many goals up in too many games where we've beaten teams by too many goals, should we say?
Quite possibly. I don't know. I was looking at Swansea, actually, just to turn it back on Swansea, and I don't think they've scored more than 2. They've only scored more than 2 once in the last few months. Is that not right?
Against Rotherham,
that's right.
Yeah. So against Rotherham, yeah. I mean, it's the not being able to kick on with this team, isn't it? It's like I said, it's just the inconsistency within the 90 minutes. We can start games in the first 20 and look and create 3 or 4 absolute gilt-edged chances. For whatever reason, we're not taking them. And I do think there are goals. I do think that there are goals in this team. There's attacking options in this team. You know, there's wingers who are scoring. It's not just down to one man, thankfully, because we don't have a striker. So we have to have goals throughout the team. And traditionally, Bournemouth have always, in the most recent history anyway, have always had goals throughout the team. They've always had wingers that have scored. Always had attacking midfielders who've contributed. It is worrying because over the last few months, through the managerial swap and bringing Woodgate in, who's a very defensive-minded coach, and the first thing he did was really try and shore up the defence. We had a little run of clean sheets as well. It is worrying that the goals potentially are looking like they're drying up really at this end of the season.
Let's keep on that focus then of scoring goals and assists. So I've always said that you need a 20-plus goal scorer to get yourself out of the Championship. Now, Norwich have that. Brentford are trying with that. You're sort of breaking the myth with not having that. You've got Andre Ayew. But what's quite interesting when you look at Swansea stats, Luke, is your 2 sort of highest assist makers are both fullbacks.
Am I right in saying it's 17 between, well, it might be 16 between those 2, because Manning as well, and he's chipped in with a few. I think the fullbacks, 17 assists or something ridiculous, really. But the way we're playing is we try and push them up as much as possible. Sometimes Connor Roberts is playing centre forward. He's literally in the box ahead of Ayew and Lowe. Scored a couple of headers, but they just sort of wing back, ball over, often to the other wing back or someone else in the box, and a lot of our goals have come that way. So I don't want to give all of our plan away, but basically when the wing backs are nullified, we tend to struggle a little bit more in terms of creating chances, because that's generally where it all comes from.
Flip that on the other coin then, James. Our crossing accuracy is probably one of the worst in the top half of the division, and our assist makers are Dom Solanke and David Brooks. Dom Solanke's only just come back. Brooks has been injured for a while now. Smith is backing him up, but we're doing the opposite.
We are, and we've lost Lewis Cook as well in the midfield for the rest of the season, who was creating quite a lot from midfield as well. I mean, it's worrying in terms of how reliant the club has been throughout the last sort of 6 to 7 seasons on overlapping fullbacks, wing backs that pushed on, wingers that played well with them. We refer always to the Pew Daniels partnership, and how well that worked, and it just doesn't seem to be clicking in terms of Smith or Stacey or Kelly or Rico or whatever combination we're putting there. The space between Danjuma and the fullback, Stanislas playing on his weaker side, for whatever reason, it isn't quite clicking, and that is a fundamental, I think, a fundamental problem in us scoring goals at the moment. The goals at the weekend came from 2 long balls, really, and it's difficult to see how we're going to score more without utilising our very, very talented wingers, to a better level, really.
Bit of a random stat, Luke. We're quite good from penalty taking. Junior Stanislas doesn't miss penalties. You've only given one away this season. I mean, do you just not put a foot in?
We have had a little bit of luck sometimes, but it's just because I think we concede a lot of chances, which if you speak to Brentford fans, they'll always look at the XG, right? Because they're always top of creating chances. And because there's a little bit of a rivalry since the playoffs last season, so they like to point out that our defensive XG doesn't match our good defense. Obviously, if you look at our clean sheets and the amount we conceded, they love to point that out. But the way we seem to do it is keeping people from shooting, maybe from further away. Not all the time, of course, but quite often. So we might concede the same amount of chances as the average team, or a few more in some games, some cases, and seem like we're always on the back foot. But I think we're quite good at not necessarily giving clear-cut chances away, which is looking at it a little bit more in detail. But that's probably why we haven't necessarily conceded so many penalties as well.
Thank you for everyone who's interacting in the chat. Some good stuff going on there, some XG terminology as well. But what we're going to do is have a look at the league table, and we're going to just see what the score predictions might be from Luke's point of view. Make sure you do this to support the channel. So we'll just bring the table up then. As you can see, Swansea are in 3rd. I'll scroll across and see if we can get the points on the screen in a minute. And Bournemouth are now 7th with 5 points away from the playoffs. Now, Jonathan Woodgate, James, has always just said, got to get our own business done. But surely we're going to need some help along the line from here on in if we've got a chance.
Yeah, we were 2nd at one point, did you say?
Yeah.
And what was that, December?
December the 8th.
Man alive. That's a drop in it. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. Well, so when you're 2nd in December, it is in your hands, isn't it? And then when you're firmly in the playoffs, it's still in your hands, isn't it? And I think we've just had 2 rotten runs that we've put together, and then these inconsistent. Just look at the column on the far right hand side. The inconsistency there, wins, draws, and losses, just all mixed in together. It's tough, isn't it? But it's the Championship. I think someone quoted a stat that Villa got automatic promotion from pretty much the position we're in one season. So I mean, it's a weird old league. This league it's Saturday, Tuesday, and it's all to play for. There's another cliche. I said I wasn't going to do cliches this evening. I'm really annoyed at myself for dropping one there.
Luke, you got a game in hand. I mean, a draw's a good result as well, isn't it?
Well, we had a game in hand that we played in the week just gone against Blackburn, and we had a draw in that one, which, the bigger picture, that is a good result. A lot of fans were annoyed we didn't get the win and take advantage, but that puts us ahead firmly now, 3 points ahead of Brentford. So with the game in hand on Watford too, it could be the same thing, even a point. It means our goal difference isn't necessarily the only factor at that point. It still might come down to that because there's a long way to go. And the thing is, our game in hand, we don't even know when it's going to be played at this point. It's probably going to be late April, so handful of games after it. It's just frustrating it's taken so long because you're just always looking you've got to sort of maximise that now. Keep the form going, and hopefully when the game in hand does come, it's still relevant, because it could be the case that it doesn't matter.
Right, I've been searching high and low today to find some hope for you AFC Bournemouth fans, and I think I've got it. Okay, we are unbeaten in the last 8 against Swansea. We've won 5 of those, and the last time we played at home, we won 1-0. Oh, we got a chance now, James.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. We've always, absolutely. We've absolutely got a chance. There's nothing that can stop us. One of my favourite Bournemouth matches was from 1995, and it's when we beat Swansea 3-2 at home. Adrian Pennock scored, but the most interesting stat about that is the first time that Steve Fletcher scored more than one in a game. He scored 2 that night. Miracles can happen, baby. It's going to happen tomorrow night. We're taking all 3 points. I guarantee it.
Does that stat bother you, Luke, or are you just focusing on where you are right now?
We've had plenty of stuff like that. Stoke this season, they were a bit of our bogey team for a while, and we didn't lose there. So hopefully another one where we'll turn the corner. But I mean, I'm not confident saying that we're going to win, but we've got to have some sort of confidence on the way we've played in terms of defensively. I think even if we don't lose, that's big. It's a difficult game. But the thing is, it's a difficult week. So it's just like, you've got to win one of them. And I mean, we'd always take Cardiff over Bournemouth without being disrespectful, just because of what's behind it. So I think everyone would, I don't know, it's hard. Everyone would sort of let this slide if we get a win on a weekend, but you've got to try and get 6 where we are.
James is throwing the stats out. There's education going on in the chat. I mean, I tell you what, it's a new week and we're feeling positive. Luke, it's been brilliant to have you on, and obviously we wish you luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
How do you think it's going to go tomorrow? I mean, what are you expecting, or what are you hoping for in the score prediction?
To be honest, I think there's been, other than the games that we've lost, so this could be a good sign for you, been really low scoring tight games when we've won, when we've drawn. If we lost, it turns out apparently our defence isn't good. As soon as we go behind, you'll get a couple. But just ask Huddersfield. But I think tomorrow will be tight. I think maybe I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 0-0, to be honest. Like the other game, I know you said we both played good football, and the pitch is probably going to be better to do that. And that might help both of us, actually, because we kind of need help coming out of our run of playing not that good. So if you're a team that will give us the space, maybe that will help us. But I think it would be another defensive show from us, and you'll probably have more chances, more of the ball. So it depends what clinical you are. Otherwise, I would say 0-0.
I'll get your score later on, James, but a 0-0 just doesn't seem enough for me.
No, it absolutely isn't. But it's a nailed on 0-0. If ever I've seen a 0, like this lot are playing their biggest rivals at the weekend. We got a match this weekend that if we win it this weekend, we've forgotten about the last 3 months. I guarantee it. Right? If you got a tenner, you find some money down the back of the sofa, stick it on a 0-0. I didn't want to come onto this show and go, it's going to be 0-0, because no one wants to hear that, but it's going to be 0-0.
Yeah, I do apologise, but I can't see anything else.
Cheers for coming on, Luke. Luke's details are in the description if you want to check out the Swans Cast. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and hopefully catch you again soon. Good luck.
Cheers, Luke. Thanks. Fantastic. Okay, James, let's continue with the show and focus on Bournemouth. And Jonathan Woodgate had his press conference today. He was asked about getting back into it and, again, focusing on ourselves. He just wants to try and get some points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same rhetoric, isn't it? And the rhetoric sound, I did want to talk about this. The rhetoric sounded really reassuring when he just taken over from Tyndall in those sort of 4 to 5 games, when he was sort of, it's one game at a time. I'm doing it for this football club. We just got to get the points, get the goals, and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's a few little red flags that I sort of hear when managers do post-match press conferences, or indeed the pre-match like today. The one that sort of raised a bit of an alarm bell was after the match of the weekend, where he just sort of came out and was asked about conceding from set pieces, and his initial reply was, "Well, the players don't look like they want to head it," and it seemed like it seems like so out of control. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't seem there's nothing measured in that response. It just seems a little bit grasping at straws. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's difficult. I don't deny his work ethic. I don't deny that the fact that he wants to win, and all of those qualities. But I think quality may be in that position in this league, as I've alluded to before. Other teams are on the way up because they chose to change the management to a manager who had success in the Championship, literally had it written on their CV. And we don't have that with Woodgate, for all of his qualities. That element isn't on his CV.
He was highly frustrated at the weekend that we only keep playing for 45 minutes. How does he change that?
It's the Sven-Goran Eriksson thing, isn't it? England football teams of the early 2000s had this issue of playing well up until half time and then just coming out and being quite pedestrian afterwards. There has to be something that's going on in the dressing room for that, because it's the only it's the only mitigating factor. It's the only thing that changes. They go into the dressing room, they take on their new tactics, and then they come out and for whatever reason we're frustrated. I think I do once again I loop back to it. I think back to the weekend's match, and I think it was probably a little too down on it. Like, I know it's a defeat, but this Barnsley team are on a run, and they've got a real work ethic and a real will to win behind them, you know. But I think we put one of those chances away at the beginning of the second half. It is a completely different day. I don't think they're coming back from 3-1 down. But not wishing to talk about, I know we're talking ahead, but to talk about that Barnsley team, apart from those chances, outside of that, at no point did they not look like they were going to peg us back. They really looked like they had a sense of sort of belief about them. And that sense of belief, whatever that untangible thing is, doesn't seem to resonate with our squad at the moment.
Woodgate was asked about player availability. Smudge will be out till after the international break, and we hope that that's not too bad. There's a scan for him, I think, tomorrow. Lewis Cook, I think, is having surgery. A few comments on those players, and hopefully that surgery goes okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is it the same knee? Is that right?
So.
Am I reading that? Yeah, I mean, yeah, my heart goes out to him. I mean, because it's just so utterly soul destroying. And I think, you know, Cook's been, I don't think he's been at his best in the last few months, but then he sets a very high bar for the quality of player that he is. And I think he is one of our better, most consistent players, you know, in terms of the way that we try and play football. So best wishes to him. Hopefully Smith can come through. I think, you know, he was just starting to come back into a little bit of form. And I do think he has an element to his game that is useful in the Championship. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brooks still not fit, but he
so
might...
yeah, I mean, it settles that. It settles bringing Stacey back in as well, who I thought looked pretty reasonable actually at the match of the weekend as well. So hopefully he'll get a run of games as well.
And Brooks still not fit, but might be ready after the international break. But Rico will be fit. I mean, does Rico have a chance at starting? And we will have a look at the predicted 11 in a bit.
I don't think Woodgate's played Rico a lot outside of the injury anyway, has he? He's favoured Kelly on that side. I mean, we don't want to be doing the magic roundabout that we were doing at the beginning of the season, which is trying one and then trying the other game after game. You do need consistency in there. One of the most interesting things I think I heard on one of these podcasts was saying that what needs to happen is a siege mentality of picking, okay, these are my 19 players that are going to get us into the playoffs and get us into promotion, and then saying sorry to the other guys, but we are creating a team and a siege mentality. And I think possibly Rico and maybe Raquel may have sort of fallen outside of that, which is a shame, because I thought potentially with their influence with each other, potentially they would work well on that side. I like Rico a lot. I think he's a good player, but I think I'm not in the majority with that.
I just wish he could cross a bit better this season, but I'm not anti-Rico. I do like parts of Rico's game. Make sure you hit that thumbs button. We really appreciate a like for this video if you're enjoying it. We're going into the last part of the show. We're going to try and predict what Woodgate will do tomorrow. Good luck to us. And we're just about to do this. Okay, James. So in his caretaker charge, initially, he went for a 4-2-3-1 type formation. Then he switched it up for a back three for 2 games. Then he went back to a back four. And then he went for a 4-4-2 that didn't quite work on Saturday. And Swansea do, I believe, play with a back three. So either a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3. Do you expect him to go back to that initial 4-2 or 4-1-2 again?
I expect him to play just with a single guy up front and then to bring it back into 3 in midfield, however that 3 sits. And it depends on the players that he decides to put faith in on the day. I'd like to see us playing with a little bit more attacking in the way that you've set it up here, with the 2 midfielders, in that hole supporting the 2 wide men and sort of, working with them nicely. I like that setup.
We'll go through the rows of the team then, and as you can see, I've already started to set the team up with Begovic in a back 4, and Stacey comes in there. That's going to be obvious. Cook and Carter Vickers. It's funny because I've been really praising Cook this year, but the last couple of weeks I felt like more that Carter Vickers is the one that I trust more than anyone else in that partnership at the moment.
I felt, and I might be wrong, you're the stats guy, but I felt Kelly and Carter Vickers in the middle looked really assured. And I think they played their first game when Cook went off injured against Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thought they looked really good in that game. And Kelly looks better for me. Looks better in the middle than he does, out as a wing back. Certainly. I don't know. I mean, Cook certainly has the desire, certainly has the heart for it, certainly has the history for it as well in terms of being at this club. So it's a difficult call to make, isn't it? But just for me, I actually think Kelly and Carter Vickers is a good partnership at the back.
Let us know what you think in the chat as we go through the team. If you agree with us, who you would play, who you'd take out. And before I go into that midfield, one more thing, James. I sort of feel like at the end of Tyndall's tenure, he had an opportunity to just switch up those players that were letting him down week in, week out, and just throw some youngsters in there. I almost feel like we're in that position again, but now under Woodgate. But is it now too late to do that with 10 games to go and the added pressure of people putting on us that we should be challenging for the Premier League?
I don't think it's the answer. I think that's the last throw of the dice, just to throw on some untried youngsters at this stage. But if you're doing that, you're admitting that the chase has gone. I think this group of players. Oh God, this group of players. This is the thing. All these things always got this group of players, but they should be. You should be able to put an 11 together from this group of players, absolutely, without going into the youth team and relying on players like Surridge and all that kind of stuff, But I think I think the ability's there, provided we don't go back to that back three, which clearly wasn't working at points in the season for us. Clearly, the defence was finding it very hard to manage as a back three. I think provided we stick to a back four and then just let the attacking players do what they do best.
Let's go into the midfield then. A player that was brought off during the game, which probably was a mistake potentially, is Ben Pearson. Does he go in front of Carter Vickers and Cook?
Ben Pearson's the first name on the team sheet. I love him. Isn't he great? They posted a photo of him tonight, and fans of other clubs couldn't believe that he was a footballer. I love him.
Yeah, he's brilliant. 250,000 as well, I think.
Was that all he was? They love him at one of my friends is a Preston fan. They love him at Preston as well. He's fantastic. But yeah, no, he does so much work in there, and it all went bottoms up when he went off at the weekend. So yeah, put him back in.
So I'm assuming we're going to put Lerma in there as well, but maybe a little bit more advanced. And then we come to that key position of Jack Wilshere or Philip Billing. But remember, we're trying to think of whom Woodgate would pick. And it seems to feel like Wilshere might not be in favour.
I can't believe that's your question, Jack Wilshere or Philip Billing. Like, it's why is this being discussed? You put your former England international in there, don't you? Surely, I don't know. I don't think. How do you think? Yeah, it's a question for you. How do you think Jack Wilshere's played when he has played for Bournemouth in this spell?
Well, he won. Didn't he win the first game that Jonathan Woodgate was in charge with an assist and a goal against Birmingham? I mean, look, a player that's not played consistently enough football in the last few years, but I still question how he doesn't get in a championship side is just beyond me. And I think if we can get the best out of Jack Wilshere, we will be a better football team and we will have more of a chance. I think we can't defend well enough all season. For whatever reason, we gift too many goals. We don't defend set pieces and we're weak from aerial duels. So we've got to outplay teams and we've got to win football matches by scoring more goals. And if you're going to do that, you need someone that can unlock chances.
And this isn't anti-Philip Billing at all. Like I actually think Philip has a really, really important role to play at the club. I think there are certain teams that he's going to be more effective against, and certain systems he's going to be more effective in. And I think he's a very valuable player to have in your squad. But you pick Wilshere, don't you? Surely.
I'll tell you what, after what's happened at the weekend, and potentially Woodgate might know that people are questioning whether there is an issue behind the scenes, and we don't really know. I do actually think now we're having this discussion that he might play. So let's put him in there.
Let's put him in there.
Okay, so the front three, it probably picks itself. But do you want to start on the right-hand side? Who you'd put there?
I'm assuming Stanislas on the right-hand side.
Yep.
And then Danjuma up there on the left.
And before we go
go on. You carry on. You sorry.
I was going to say. I just keep seeing a lot of stick for Danjuma because of the other stuff of the part of the game that he doesn't do. But I look at it and think he's the most consistent goal scorer for us. I know he's highly frustrating, but we'd probably be even worse position than we are now without Danjuma on that pitch.
I think you and I agree it's a complete luxury, right?
Mm.
But you have to, as a fan, get your head around that he is a luxury player and that he is going to do nothing for 90 minutes and then put one in the top corner. He has made an assist and scored one at the weekend. So he's involved in both of the goals. And you see when he plays that the opposition defence always double up on him because they know, and I know he's predictable because he always comes inside and he's looking for the shot. Always comes inside looking for the shot, but they double up on him, which gives players like Solanke more space up front. I think he's vital. He's vital for this team because he's a match winner. How many times have do fans of other clubs complain that they don't have that player who has that bit of magic? We don't have that player who can create something out of nothing. We've got him. We can't complain about him because that's exactly the sort of player you need in a squad.
He's not Mark Pugh and he's not Matt Ritchie. He's not going to back up the fullback. I totally agree with you. Absolutely 100%. Number 9, then, it has to go to Dom Solanke. I suppose you're going to agree with me there.
Yeah, I like Dom. I think he's all right. Like I said, he's not the player that we all think like. Not the player. He's exactly the player that we think he is, but he's not the player that you allude to, who gets championship sides promoted through their goals. Because I don't see that. I don't see that side of his game, but I see so many other elements to his game that's so much to admire. He holds the ball up so well and brings so many other players into the match, and he does do pretty much the job of two strikers up there. I think he works tirelessly throughout games, and once again, I think he's a bit of a confidence player as well. I don't think Danjuma is. I think Danjuma just plays his game, but I think Solanke's a massive confidence player, and it'd be nice to see him put back-to-back goals together.
Some have said on social media and certain platforms that we don't celebrate enough when we score goals. Are we not happy enough? Is that one of our problems?
It's a telltale sign, isn't it? It's you can't get away from it. It's been noticeable all season. That the celebrations have been somewhat muted. Kings, do you remember when King was scoring earlier in the season? Goodness me. Looked like he just received a bad news telegram in the post. Do you know what I mean? He just scored a goal, mate. I think so. And I think that element of togetherness, is it there? Isn't it there? I honestly don't know. But then I wouldn't blame them for it not being there because we've had, sort of 2 managerial changes this season, haven't we? It's been huge in terms of the last calendar year at the club. We've had 3 different managers in the last calendar year and a relegation and a global pandemic to deal with. So it's difficult, but I don't see that siege mentality there with this group at all.
This is a side that we think Jonathan Woodgate will pick tomorrow then. Let us know in the comments if you agree. If you're not able to watch this live, who would you change? Who would you put in? That is our team that we might see for lineups live. One more thing in that lineup then, James, and a stat that's going to return for Dom Solanke. Can he score for the first time 2 games in a row since 2015?
No, because it's going to be 0-0.
Of course it is. That's what you said. Right, this is your chance in the chat to get your score predictions in for tomorrow. I haven't given my score prediction yet, but there's some nil-nils. Some nil-nils have been thrown out there. Let us know what you think the score will be. There are some other games going on in this game week 37. Does it have any relevance? I mean, I'm just flashing them down the screen there, James, but as I said, is there any relevance to those, or we just got to try and get 3 points tomorrow?
It doesn't until we get within 1 win of the playoffs. They don't have any relevance. So that's where Woodgate's right. We literally have to just concentrate on us and what we're doing. And then once again, I think this game at the weekend is going to sort of dictate a lot of how we feel about this season, really. I'm just reading them across now. They're all championship clubs, isn't it? They can all beat each other. Who knows? They'll be more exciting than our game.
Yeah, I mean, there's Cardiff, Stoke that I can't see Stoke picking anything off Cardiff. I'm looking at the teams now below us than above us. That's the worrying thing. So let's look at the scores then and see what you're coming up with today. Make sure you put them in there and I will just put them on the screen in a second. So thank you for joining us, Chris. How you doing? A 3-2 to Bournemouth. Craig is a 1-1. 2-1. I fear this might happen for the first time that we're going to have some Swansea wins in this prediction here, but we've gone for a sorry 1-2. So 2-1 to Swansea. Heather, how you doing? 1-0. Cameron, thanks for joining us. 1-0. And we've also got a 3-1 there. Oh, no. There was a 3-1 in there from Sammy somewhere. And a 1-0 1-0 to Bournemouth, a stand penalty. As I said, Swansea only given away one penalty this year. Liam, 1-1. Swansea, 3-0. How you doing, Mark?
So 30-0.
It does.
30-0.
Mark Cole. Heart says 2-1. Head says 1-1. Daniel in America, how you doing? 2-1 Swansea, but if I say Bournemouth win 1-0, Swansea look like a better side. Mark, how you doing? 2-1. So there are some positive scores in there. I mean, after all the issues we've been through and the result of the weekend, we've still got fans out there, James, that think we can get a win tomorrow.
That's good. I like positivity. I like visualizing the process. I like seeing things and making them reality. It's all part of the process. Trust the process. That's what I say. But the other question I had for you as well, I don't know whether you're going to come on to this. When was the last time we had a cup game that was something to actually get excited about?
It probably would have been in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool, I assume. Was that a quarter final? Dan Gosling?
We had a home quarter final, and we had a couple of quarter finals away at Chelsea, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
If I remember. But this is a real opportunity, and I know that it's been well said about the value of the FA Cup these days. But I'm not sure. Do you reckon our players have got half an eye on that this weekend or not?
Potentially. You weigh it up though. I think the FA Cup rewards are £2.5 million if you win it. So I don't know what it is to win a quarter-final match. You weigh that up with 100 million. I mean, what's in it for the players? What's in it for the board? I suppose that's what you've got to weigh up. I mean, Woodgate went all out, didn't he, on against Burnley because he didn't know how many games he was going to be in charge. It's different now. He's almost playing for his job to try and keep the job, I suppose. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes a little bit light on Saturday, but we'll see.
We'll see.
So you went for a 0-0. Are you sticking with that, James? And I mean, what are you hoping to see tomorrow, off the back of the weekend?
God. Oh, man. Do you know what? It's like, I just want to see 90 minutes where we look like we've got a system and an idea. And when it comes to changing it, in terms of the management and in terms of the substitutions, actually having some clear direction and changing the system for the better and changing the players for the better, just that kind of structure. I think the club's lost a lot of its identity just recently, in terms of the way that we play, so I just want to see a little bit of that. And I certainly want to see some more Wilshere, really.
I agree. I hope he starts tomorrow. I hope our predicted 11 is right. I'd love to see us win. I think it'll be a draw, but I'm going to go for a 1-1. So it's going to be a little bit more interesting than a 0-0. So I'm going for a 1-1. James, it's been brilliant to have you on and have an insight into this game week match preview. Thanks for joining me.
It's been a joy. Thank you, mate.
Thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. There's been some really good chats. There's been lots of people involved, so we really appreciate that. Tomorrow then we've got lineups live 45 minutes before kickoff. Join us for that and we'll react to the team lineups, and we'll also get a match review video out after the game. Thank you, and enjoy from me and James. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow for lineups live. Up the Cherries.